Hey y'all, it's Marvin here, and I know some of you have that listing right now that's been sitting for several weeks, maybe even 6 or 7 months. See what I did there? But have no fear. Your brother, your uncle, your favorite realtor's favorite realtor is going to show you 10 untraditional ways to breathe new life into that listing that's been sitting for a long time and get that home sold ASAP. If you get value from today's video, my only ask, because 83% of you that watch these videos not currently subscribed, so that means y'all are just dining and dashing. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can get more tactical, strategic videos that help move your business forward. So strategy number one is I want you to relaunch that listing like a movie premiere. So if you have that home that's been sitting for like 180 days or greater, stop pretending that it's active. Go ahead and suggest to your client to pull it off the market, wait a little while, and then relaunch it like a new movie premiere. Change the cover photo, take new pictures, and relaunch it with a backed by popular demand type of strategy when you put it in the listing description. I want you to hype this thing up like it is a new show on Netflix. I'm talking teaser trailers that you post on your social media, both TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts. You should be leveraging all three platforms and hold like a relaunch weekend type of event. I want to frame this relaunch as kind of we've made a few updates and now the home is better than ever. Using the power of social media and some very strategic ads on places like Google and Facebook will really help drive brand new eyeballs to your property, because people love a comeback story.
Hey, if you've made it this far in the video and you are a real estate professional, consider partnering with me here at Real Brokerage. Pay nothing per month, get a fantastic split, and you have the opportunity to build a business through revenue share and stock purchases. Book a call at the link below in today's video, and I'm happy to have a conversation on why I was able to grow my business exponentially by moving my practice to Real Brokerage. All right, back to the video.
So you know how every other agent holds open houses on Saturdays between 1 to 4 and Sundays from 3 to 5? I want you to try something a little bit different. Consider hosting a twilight open house experience. So what I mean is like maybe from like 6 to 8 p.m. on a Saturday or Sunday, or maybe even a Friday night for those that do date night, couples that may want to check out the property. Host an event where you have candles, jazz, sunset lighting, maybe even setting up a movie projection on the property in the backyard or somewhere. Make it a completely new and different experience, because conventional wisdom tells many buyers to go on open houses again on your early afternoons, but I personally like to see a property after dark. So having a twilight open house event will really appeal to those types of buyers that really want to get a feel for the neighborhood when the street lights come on and what the experience is going to be like walking their dog in an evening in that neighborhood. So by hosting a twilight open house experience, you give the potential buyers a unique experience to check out that property and see what a beautiful sunset is going to look like while sitting on the porch. Now, this one is a little wild, but it definitely will work with high intent, pre-approved only buyers, and that is to suggest that the potential buyer that's interested in your property spend the weekend at the property. So give it kind of like an Airbnb-esque kind of situation where you invite a potential buyer to spend Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the property on your seller's dime. They cover, maybe a DoorDash or an Uber Eats dinner, something like that, because you don't want individuals necessarily cooking at the property. But if the seller is cool with it and your local market allows it, consider letting potential buyers spend the weekend at that property. The benefit is that it lets that potential buyer emotionally connect with that home to see what dinner is going to be like, what the community vibe is going to be like by actually spending the night at that property. Because of course, walking through a home, that doesn't quite do it justice. Many of my buyers, they like to see the property several times before we get to the closing table, but having an experience where you get to sleep over at that property to really truly feel like what a night is going to be like, I think will really solidify in that potential buyer's mind why that seller is selling should be their home. And number 4 that I think you'll want to consider adding to your arsenal is a lifestyle collaboration. So maybe you know someone that owns a yoga studio, or hosting an event at that property where a yoga instructor is offering free classes on the yard or in the backyard, a food truck or something like that, will really truly give potential buyers. And shooting content like this where you're tagging those business businesses on social media offering free classes using the collaboration feature will not only show that property to your entire audience, but also that local yoga instructor's audience as well. So you'll get a little bit of cross-pollination. You'll get eyeballs on your property. That yoga instructor will get eyeballs on his or her business, and potential buyers will see both of you and see that property and be like, wow, I could use that particular room to do yoga or some other kind of exercise, and you're leveraging the power of other local businesses for the mutual benefit of everyone. And number 5 is having a short video that you present to your social media as well as your YouTube where you're answering the question viewers or buyers want to know, and that's why didn't this home sell until now? And what this does is this creates transparency for you as the real estate professional to where you're telling the stories of, hey, my sellers had a certain number in mind, and they realized that the market is a little bit different. So they got more motivated and realistic in their final price that they're trying to get to. So this property has not changed in any way. The upgrades are still remaining. The incentives are still remaining. The compensation to the real estate agent that brings a buyer is still remaining. But my seller is incredibly motivated right now. So we are introducing this property at a new price. Or maybe there was a certain repair that a buyer that was interested in the property brought up, and you have a copy of that inspection report to say, hey, we had a buyer under contract. They were first-time home buyers, and they didn't realize that every home is going to have its set of issues no matter what condition the home is in, and they got a little squeamish and they walked away. But here were the 1, 2, 3, 4 line items that were the biggest concern for them that my seller has now addressed, and I have the supporting document to show that. Telling that story to potential buyer audiences will give them the confidence and the comfort to say, you as that listing agent, you are above board. You play the game as it should be done, and that's the honest and the fair way. And now you can flip that doubt that they may have had into curiosity and subsequently a home tour being scheduled on your property. And sometimes we have to realize, y'all, that the home may not necessarily be the problem. It may be that the buyer hasn't gotten a good feel for the neighborhood yet. So what I would do is if there is a coffee shop or some other really neat business within 2 to 3 miles of that property, pull up to that business. Ask to speak to the manager or the owner of that property and talk to them. What brought them to that community as a business? Usually there's some telltale signs that business owners look at from a market data perspective. That's the reason why they felt comfortable investing in that neighborhood. Having those conversations with local businesses and documenting that, saying, hey, we're at this new coffee shop that just opened up about a mile from the property, or hey, I'm here at this new pickleball court that just opened up. I don't know if pickleball is still a thing, but let's talk with the manager to see what brought pickleball to this particular community. Having those conversations can really truly answer questions that potential buyers are not sure, they didn't even know to ask, but you've answered questions that they didn't realize was very important to them. So that again helps build trust in you as the listing agent, and trust that that property that they're interested in putting an offer in on is going to be a great long-term investment for them and their family. And number 7 is probably my favorite one, and that is the behind the scenes story. So if I were a listing agent and I had a property that wasn't moving, if my seller's comfortable with it, I would document certain aspects of our conversations to talk through, the home being refreshed, taking new pictures, maybe decluttering a certain area, maybe painting accent walls in certain strategic rooms, and documenting that entire journey from when the home was sitting for months and months and months to when it's being relaunched, so that individuals can kind of see a duality of a before and after, and they can see the improvements that have been made to the property because of your suggestion as the real estate professional. And now you're documenting that journey. So if they're on a similar path that you've been on, where their listing has been sitting for some time, that's giving them insight that they may want to apply and talk to their seller about to get that home relisted and sold. Another thing that you'll want to look at, because a lot of times with buyers, especially as they're getting more and more savvy, working with real estate professionals like your brother, your uncle, is looking at incentives that are offered by a seller. So let's say hypothetically a seller is proactively offering a $3,000 price reduction if an offer is received at a certain point. For me, I would say, and how I would suggest it to my seller is, instead of offering a price reduction, I would offer what I like to call a buyer experience credit. So let's say $1,000 or $2,000 because in most MLSs, and pretty much all of them, I should say, you cannot put compensation information in that, but any other marketing that you do to list that home, whether it's Google ads, Facebook ads, Instagram posts, YouTube video content, you can talk all day about the incentives that you are offering and what you're paying a potential buyer's agent. So I would offer something like a buyer experience credit, where my seller with a good offer is offering a $3,000 smart home package, or we'll cover your moving truck up to $1,000, or we'll offer a $1,500 credit for home cleaning. Something tangible that a potential buyer will need to take care of when they purchase that property, I think is personally going to be a game changer. In many cases, reducing the price by $1,000 here or $2,000 there won't really move the needle when it comes to their monthly mortgage that they're paying. Boy, oh boy, when you give people experience credits, if you will, that they can take and use towards a smart home setup or cleaning their home, all these are incentives that you write into the contract that will come from your seller's portion, or it could even come from your commission if you want to offer some of your commission towards that to move the needle. And or you could even do a broker bonus of some sort, where in addition to the 3% that you're offering, hopefully listing agents are paying buyer's agents at least 2.5 to 3%, but that's a story for another day. Offer an incentive on top of that immediate compensation to say, hey, look, my seller is willing to offer any buyer's agent full commission of 2.5 or 3%, as well as an additional $1,500 bonus. And that will make the difference, because let's just be honest here as real estate professionals. If I'm looking at house A and house B, and they're almost identical in every way, shape, form, or fashion, including the price, and my buyer asks me, what are my thoughts? Of course, I'm gonna sound agnostic to it, but my hope is that they pick the property that's paying me as the real estate agent my normal compensation and or a bonus on top of that. It just goes without saying, So I think that it's incredibly important to leverage the power of using words like experience credit, incentives, things of that nature, because that's what retail businesses do. When you walk into your Costco's or your Walmarts or even Amazon Prime Day, and they're offering significant discounts or incentives to encourage you to make that purchase, Amazon's really good for that. That's what moves the needle, and that's what gets their products sold. So start leveraging what these businesses and retailers are doing on a regular basis to help your seller sell that property. And the last two that I want to suggest, if you're looking for ways to really give your listing new life, is to offer what's called emotional anchor photos. So think of emotional anchor photos instead of your typical wide angle shots that many home photographers offer. Let them be actually pictures that are more intimate, more candid. Maybe coffee sitting on the windowsill. Maybe the beautiful Labradoodle dog posing somewhere in the home, maybe on the deck looking out to the yard. Having your photographer take shots like that. Ask them to get a lot more creative and cinematic in the pictures that they take to really tell a different story about that property. Because you got people that all day, every day, post pictures of just your standard wide angle where they stand in one corner of the room and take the picture to make it look a lot bigger than it really is. But I don't see too many listing agents that take those types of pictures that really tell a story. And like I said, those few suggestions that I just gave, having certain shots strategically with the family dog or something that tells the right story for a potential individual or family that's looking to move in, how they can create their own memories in that property, I think is going to be very important. And the last thing that you may want to consider, which I think is one of my favorite options when we're looking for strategy and how to move a property, is to offer a private buyer event. And what that means is I want you to really reset the buzz completely for your listing. So take that listing off of your MLS for like 48 or 72 hours. Your seller's probably going to be inundated with calls of individuals, usually investors and wholesalers, of why is the home off the market? tell them don't fill those calls. But take it off the market for like 48 to 72 hours, and then like host a private showing event for your buyer network and call it the private preview. And what that does is it gives you data for what potential buyers are saying about the home, feedback, things of that nature while you're offline, if you will, because there's going to be people on Zillow that may have saved that property and they're like, well, what happened to the home? It didn't say pending. It didn't say under contract. It just says it's off the market. That's going to get them calling their agent to say, hey, find out what happened with this property. This was on my watch list. And that's going to really let you know, okay, there are a lot of people that are interested in my property. What factors are keeping them from not scheduling a showing or making an offer? And use all of that in addition to what your buyer network says about the property, because you can have events with other agents and they can help you from a pricing standpoint, but you want to get actual consumers in that property giving feedback during your offline period of that listing, and then you relaunch that listing with information that says, back on the market after exclusive private showing, something like that you can put in the listing description to really kind of reset the algorithm and that FOMO from those buyers that were just saving your listing under their favorites to really say, okay, let me see what's going on with this property, because I don't want this to come off again if we know we want to pull the trigger. So I hope today's video was insightful for you and provided you with some really actionable nuggets. I didn't want to give you all the typical Tom Ferry advice. I love Tom, but a lot of that type of advice is really generic in nature. Do the circle prospecting, do the mailers, do all of that. That stuff can work, but I want you to think out of the box. What the gurus are suggesting or what every other listing agent is doing, but you've got to do things, especially if you've been having a tough time with a particular listing, to move the needle for that seller. Because if that seller doesn't see the benefit, if you will, aka an offer on their property, once that time runs out for that listing period, they're gonna fire you and they're gonna go with someone else. So I want to help you avoid that by giving you some strategies. Many of these 10 strategies that I gave you won't cost you anything at all. So put it into your business. Let me know in the comments below if you've tried any of these strategies here or which ones you plan on trying to move the needle on your listing. And if you are not currently an agent with Real Broker, I would love to have a conversation on why I moved my practice over to Real Broker, and so many agents that I've learned so many strategies like what I've shared in today's video that have caused me to sell multiple millions of dollars of listings, and I'm just getting started. Until the next video, this is your brother, your uncle, your favorite realtor's favorite realtor. But before you go, YouTube thinks this particular video will be of significant value to you. So not only do I want you to subscribe, like right now, go ahead and check out this video here. Just one more video on the channel before you go, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.